3 hours late. How the hell is somebody 3 hours late to an event that their campaign scheduled, their campaign planned, and their campaign set up from start to finish? Well, that is exactly what happened last night in Traverse City, Michigan, after Donald Trump had to zoom in to the rally because he spent too long in Joe Rogan's studio in Texas. And then people were left outside waiting in the cold. Check out this video. I mean, that's a little child right there. This child is looking into the camera, waiting for Donald Trump to show up so Trump can talk about tariffs. This kid probably has a better understanding of tariffs than Donald Trump at this point. But at the same time, President Obama and VP Harris were campaigning in swing states. VP Harris was in Houston, Texas last night with Beyonce, while President Obama was in Charlotte, North Carolina. So the Democratic campaign is firing on all cylinders, and honestly, Trump probably would have been better not even showing up to last night's rally at all because it turned into a mess. He's wearing a vaguely fascistic outfit. He's talking about how CBS needs its licensing stripped away. He calls Kamala Harris stupid and low IQ, as he always does. And with 10 days to go, I want to break all of this down in a tight and concise way. Make sure you drop a like, make sure you subscribe, and let's just start off with Donald Trump's zoom into his rally when he had to tell his fans that he was going to be 3 hours late. It's an awkward, weird vibe, but let's check this out.
Big screen.
Campaigns, including doing Joe Rogan, and we want to just win. So I said, will they understand in Traverse City? Otherwise, I'll be very upset with myself, and I think you will. And it's a Friday night, so we can sit around. We'll do an extra special job when we get there. I think we land in about 2 hours, and we're stepping on the gas. But it's all about winning, and we had to spend some extra time with some people, and lots of people actually. But we are going to do a special performance, and we'll be there, and I think you'll see the plane land and the whole...
A special performance means he'll ramble on for extra long, but this dude held an outdoor event in Michigan in October, and late October, and left his fans just waiting out there, all so we could have these clips with Joe Rogan, these clips of him rambling, and Joe Rogan calls out his weave right here. Listen.
He was not bad, right? That guy.
Oh, he was phenomenal.
But that's your kind of
Your
person.
weave is getting wide. We're getting wide with this weave.
But isn't it
I want
much
to bring
better?
it back to tariffs.
But wait one second before we finish with that.
So Trump was 3 hours late just for Joe Rogan to not only call him out on the weave, he says, your weave is getting wide.
Your weave is getting wide. We're getting wide with this weave.
Which is a very nice way of saying you are incoherently rambling. Nobody knows where you are taking this. We have this clip right here of Joe Rogan laughing in Trump's face when they're talking about the 2020 election. Again, Trump was 3 hours late to his rally. He left this kid out there waiting so Trump could get clips like this.
They say that made, I don't believe it's this much, but it doesn't have to. I lost by I didn't lose, but they say I lost, Joe, they say I lost by 22,000 votes.
Donald actually gets a little bit mad right there when he says, Joe, he's trying to stop Joe Rogan from laughing in his face. Listen to the way he says it right here. He wishes in this moment that he had news anchors like Kim Jong-un.
But they say I lost, Joe, they say I lost by 22,000.
And Trump keeps doing this. He keeps saying, I lost by a whisker. I lost by a whisker. That is him admitting it. I mean, Jack Smith should put that in the new indictment. Let's break down this clip right here of once Donald Trump arrived at the rally. The vibe was really odd. Now, I have to mute it for a second due to copyright reasons, but I'll play it for half a second. People in the comments said it looks like Darth Vader making an entrance, and it does. He's dressed in all black. The lighting is kind of dim. There's this weird, intense music playing in the background. I mean, you guys know what words I'm thinking right now. Kamala Harris has said them already. It's just a weirdly fascistic, authoritarian vibe here, and we haven't even dug into what he said about CBS. We haven't even dug into what he said about our adversaries. And before we jump into the clips from Trump's rally last night, I do want to highlight some of our pro-democracy candidates like Obama and Kamala, because as we're getting closer, we have to keep boosting our pro-democracy candidates. First, check out the difference between the Harris rally and the Trump rally.
This November, we will all come together and make our voices heard and elect Kamala Harris as the next president of...
I feel that blue wave coming through.
That is a crowd right there. Notice a difference not only in size and not only in density, but also diversity of crowd. Not only by race, but also by age too. Now, VP Harris's crowd is very diverse. There's a lot of young people. I mean, it's mainly young people in this crowd, and Trump's crowd is majority white, and they're all just older people walking out.
I feel that coming through. What you saying?
That's some good stuff right there. I'm going to mute it for 1 second here. Trump supporters leaving early. Leaving early. Especially, that was compounded by the fact that he was 3 hours late. People don't care about him that much. I mean, it's a cult, but not that big. All right, so let's jump into this clip of VP Harris talking about the Attorney General of Texas suing the government about medical records. Watch.
And now the Attorney General of Texas is suing the United States government so that Texas prosecutors can check this out, so that Texas prosecutors can get their hands on private medical records of women who leave the state to get care. Now, I'd ask everybody here, please do see the irony, okay? Listen to this. On the one hand, Donald Trump won't let anyone see his medical records. I gave up mine. And on the other hand, they want to get their hands on your medical records. Simply put, they are out of their mind.
The crowd goes crazy. This video went viral, and the symbolism here is super strong because they hold up signs saying freedom in the background, and that is exactly what VP Harris is talking about here. I mean, also, first of all, we can just touch on the point that VP Harris released her cognitive and physical exam. Donald Trump not only refuses to take either, but he refuses to release either, and then he refuses to do another CNN town hall, another debate that his campaign committed to. Meanwhile, VP Harris released everything. But on to the broader point, Donald Trump wants women as young as 18, probably even 16, to have their medical records meddled with the government, both the state government and the federal government, and VP Harris calls it out here perfectly. Are you out of your damn mind?
Simply put, they are out of their mind.
Perfect. And let's see what Obama says in this clip about Mark Robinson while he was in North Carolina.
The opponent believes other things. I do not know where to start with this man. Called the civil rights movement crap. Called LGBTQ people filth. Self-identified as a Nazi. Suggested bringing back slavery. Now, I shouldn't really have to get into all this. I think it's fair to say you do not need a governor who makes Donald Trump look almost normal. You deserve somebody who's going to work every day and fight for you, somebody who has shown that he is up for the job, somebody like Josh Stein. He's been doing it his entire career.
Boom, we have Democrats firing on all cylinders. We have Obama calling out Mark Robinson in North Carolina, trying to shave off those voters that find Mark Robinson reprehensible. It should be everywhere in America. And then we also have VP Harris highlighting how Republicans want to reach not only into your medical rooms, but into every facet of your life. And before I play a few clips from Trump's rally last night, I do want to break down this article that really puts my fears into words. So I've been pointing out a lot lately how Donald Trump keeps using the words, the enemy from within. And of course, that's wild and apocalyptic and divisive, but I don't even think that's the big takeaway. I think the big takeaway is that right after he says that, he will say that Kim Jong-un and Xi Jinping and Vladimir Putin are so-called enemies. They're maybe our enemies. The stark contrast between the way he talks about our liberal allies or liberal people within America versus somebody like Vladimir Putin is insane, and the Washington Post finally wrote a pretty good article that puts my fears into words. Trump says domestic foes are worse than Kim Jong-un during meandering Joe Rogan interview. Quote, "We have a bigger problem, in my opinion, with the enemy from within," Trump said after mentioning the oppressive North Korean leader, reprising a phrase that has drawn criticism. And Trump is using phrases like this right before the election, right after John Kelly came out and said that he is an authoritarian. He's fascist to the core, is what Mark Milley said. Here's another clip of Trump supporters leaving his rally.
So none of these things over your plate here.
No, that would be about we have time.
Yo, that is a pretty small rally size, especially compared to the one that VP Harris held. Let me find this clip. But VP Harris had a way, way bigger rally last night. And you can chalk it up to celebrity poll, but all that matters at the end of the day is that these people are registering to vote. But let's read this article. Donald Trump on Friday said, quote, "The enemy from within, the United States, poses a greater threat than the dictator of North Korea, a pariah state and a long-standing American adversary," reprising a phrase that has drawn criticism during a meandering 3-hour interview with the popular podcaster Joe Rogan. So Trump said, quote, "We had no problem with him," Trump said of North Korean leader Kim Jong-un. This is insane in and of itself. Quote, "We had no problem with him," Trump said of North Korean leader Kim Jong-un, before adding, "I say it to people, we have a bigger problem, in my opinion, with the enemy from within." How misled do you have to be to think that Adam Schiff and Nancy Pelosi are more of a threat than somebody like Kim Jong-un? The Republican presidential nominee has used the term, quote, "enemy from within" to describe his domestic political opposition, and has suggested Democratic politicians such as former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi fall into that category. He recently said the military could be deployed against such domestic foes. He said this in an interview on Fox News. This happened. In his conversation with Joe Rogan, he alluded to the alarm those comments created. He said, "It drives them crazy when I use that term," but then he used the term right after that. The interview underscored Rogan's shifting tone on Trump. The host once said he turned down the chance to interview Trump and called him a threat to democracy because of the election fraud stuff. And I know that part of Joe Rogan still understands that Trump is lying about the election fraud stuff. I think most of the bro vote in America, they're turned off by the whole election denialism, January 6th stuff, but they think the economy outweighs that, I guess.
I don't believe it's this much, but it doesn't have to. I lost by I didn't lose, but they say I lost, Joe, they say I lost by 22,000 votes.
Joe Rogan knows that Donald Trump is completely BSing right there. Quote, "You're not a Kamala person. I know you," Trump said to Rogan, referring to his Democratic opponent. Harris's team said they discussed a podcast appearance with Rogan, but it did not work out. Again, people in the comments get mad when I say this, but I think that could have been an easy win for VP Harris. A lot of Joe Rogan's viewers are just like him, easily persuadable. They're so open-minded that their brain falls out. But if they just heard VP Harris speak, I think most of them haven't even heard VP Harris speak, then she could shave off some voters, because these are largely undecided people. And you think Joe Rogan's going to push back harder than Brett Baer? I highly doubt it. Quote, "If I told you exactly what I do, I could never make the deal," Trump told Rogan regarding Ukraine. That is such a cop-out. You don't have to tell them the deal. All you have to say is, "I ardently stand with Ukraine. Russia needs to withdraw its troops from the territory, and Ukraine needs to retain its sovereignty," as VP Harris has said multiple times. But this is just Trump's way of never answering the question. He doesn't have any policies on anything. When it comes to Ukraine, he says, "We'll see what happens. We'll see. I can't tell you my plan." When it comes to healthcare, he said he has concepts. When it comes to abortion, he says something different about the 6-week ban every single day. Now, Joe Rogan has a large audience of younger men, and Trump's appearance reflected his strategy of trying to motivate such voters to support him in this election. He's targeting people exactly like me, young men who maybe like sports or video games and who are just looking for a bro figure to vote for, but it's not gonna work. Rogan's program has stoked controversy for spreading misinformation about the coronavirus and a lot more. He spread some insane disinformation, and Rogan even said, "Your weave is getting wide," trying to unsuccessfully redirect the conversation to tariffs, which Trump showed that he has no understanding of.
And they got...
Let's jump into his rally from last night. In this clip, he says that CBS needs its licensing stripped away.
And they got caught. And to me, it's the biggest scandal in broadcast history. It's election interference fraud. And 60 Minutes should be taken off the air. They should. And CBS should lose its license. You know, the government gives us license to NBC fake news, ABC fake news, and CBS fake news. They have to pay. If they had to pay, they'd pay billions of dollars to get them for nothing.
This is unvarnished authoritarianism. Donald Trump is describing how the government has to give CBS and ABC the licensing to broadcast and how he could strip that licensing away if he wanted to. He also calls it the greatest case of election interference or broadcast interference, while completely ignoring the Dominion of Fox News case where they settled out of court $800 million and fired Tucker Carlson because Dominion spread relentless lies about the election in an attempt to try to get the courts to rule in Donald Trump's favor. That is actual election interference. evidence that is actually a scandal and the courts decided that it was. This is Trump making something up about CBS splicing 10 seconds out of Kamala's answer, which Fox News has done a bunch of times. Look at Brick Suit on the top left right here. Brick Suit is at every single MAGA rally. He's the dude with the beard and the brick suit. In this clip right here, Donald Trump is talking about black jobs, and this is we're an occupied country. I mean, how many talking points can you fit into one clip?
The United States is now an occupied country. We're an occupied country. And you don't maybe see it around here as much, and who knows, but you probably will. But all over, they're seeing it. And they're also taking Hispanic jobs.
He says that everywhere he goes, though.
And black jobs.
What are black jobs? Everywhere he goes, he says, you're probably not seeing it here, but it's happening over in New York City. And then he goes to New York City and he says, you're probably not seeing it in New York City, but it's happening down in Texas. It's occupied. And when he goes to Texas, he says, I know that you guys don't see it a lot here, but it's happening in other places. It's just Donald Trump using that feedback loop again, where he's the one coming up with a rumor and then saying that other people said it. Here's him dragging his right leg. Either his leg fell asleep or he's getting some sort of limp as he gets older, which is completely natural, but that raises questions about his fitness to serve for the next 4 years and not seem weak in front of Putin when he's limping around. I mean, it's a little bit scary. He could seriously have a health issue right there. That could be a serious health issue if you check out this video. But either way, if you guys enjoyed this, if you appreciate what I do, drop a like, subscribe. Have a great rest of your day, and peace out.